Hi, my name is Mike Morris, co-director of Writing on the Wall. Welcome to this Bloc Social and the final event of Ashleigh Nugent's 3-week residency as our writer on the Bloc. Just to explain briefly about the Writer's Bloc. This is an idea at Writing on the Wall that we actually had in our minds for kind of over a decade. And we originally kind of thought that it would be launched as a live venue, partly based on ideas of similar things in America, in Ireland, where Roddy Doyle has got a writing centre called Fighting Words. And it was something that we were kind of working towards, but then obviously COVID hit. And in response to COVID and the lockdowns, we thought the Writer's Bloc would be the ideal vehicle really to try and connect with people and support people for all the reasons that you're probably aware of: issues of isolation, mental health, even domestic abuse, the issues that came up over race and racism after the murder of George Floyd. And we wanted to respond in a creative way to give people creative opportunities to enjoy themselves and engage. And we launched things like the Right Here, Right Now writing prompts on a daily basis that Ash has also delivered. And also then to try and connect people together and to give people something that they could work through themselves, find a way to express themselves and enjoy themselves in groups, whilst at the same time get support from professional writers. And we've had an amazing lineup of writers so far who have been our writers on the Bloc. And just a few to mention: Anthony Anaxaguru, Joel Taylor, Patrice Lawrence, Adisha, Toria Garbutt, and more, who've just been absolutely incredible. I mean, this really is top-class leadership, really, from these award-winning writers. And so the one who we've just had, who is a fantastic friend of Writing on the Wall and an amazing writer in his own right and performer, one of the most energetic people you will ever come across, and an absolute joy to spend time with, who has worked with us on so many different things. Most recently, last time I saw him live was at our Year of Writing event that we had in the Central Library, which he opened, and really kind of gave a brilliant start to the day. He has published his own novel, Blocks, which I cannot recommend highly enough. It's an absolutely brilliant novel, and superb and intriguing tale as well. He turned that into a one-man stage show, and he has, he does with his Rise Up CIC, he does work in prisons and with prisoners. He's a very good writer, but he's a socially engaged writer as well. So, he gives so much to other people. And I know even just from chatting briefly to the people, some of the people who are going to be responding tonight, along with Ash, to his residency, how much they've gained from his brilliant insights, his professionalism, and also his generosity. So I think it's been an incredibly successful residency. It's one thing that we have a lot of writers, national, and we've had international writers as well. And, it's great to have somebody who is of that quality, but who's local as well, who we've been able to give a platform to, and also to receive so much, so much back that has also been shared with many people in the Writers Bloc. So, Ashleigh, thank you a million times, and welcome to the slightly delayed, but nonetheless top quality final event of your residency as our writer on the block.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been emotional, hasn't it, folks? We've been on the right journey, you know. We've dug deep, and we've given as much as we possibly could. It's been a collective effort. These things are always a collective effort, and I was only prepared to keep going with some of the really quite difficult ideas and topics that we were discussing. Things that really need people to get really personal and dig deep. And I was only prepared to keep going with that if people were coming on the journey with me, and they jumped on board from the very beginning and really went for it. And I did keep checking that people were okay to keep going with this, and they really have gone for it, because I personally believe that that's what artists should do. We should dig deep and then share whatever it is that comes up with the world, because that is what we do. And there's no point just telling the same old surface stories. There's no point cowering away. That's not our role. It's not our role to cower and hide behind a mask like everybody else. Let everybody else do that. We're here, as we have spoken. Sheila's put, we discussed it today, haven't we, Sheila? In our one-to-one, and with Hannah as well. We discussed this today. It's our job. It's our job to be real, open, and honest. We don't tend to have the old role models that we used to have. We don't tend to have the old shamans, and people don't adhere as much to religion nowadays, so we don't have that kind of support. We don't have that community support. We don't tend to have these kind of philosophers that people used to listen to about, I'm not saying we are philosophers. I'm just saying that, as writers, we can dig a bit deeper, and maybe if we just share things in an honest way, then we can hopefully help other people to get a deeper understanding of themselves and what's going on in the world, what's going on between the lines, within the dream code, between the lines of the narrative. So it's been a beautiful experience, and I've really enjoyed working with everyone here. It's been real emotional, and I feel like I've learned a lot myself. I've mentioned a number of times how important writing on the wall are to everybody here, and to some of the people who will be listening now. Like I was just on with Angela for a one-to-one today. Oh, there she is. Hello, Angela. And we were just discussing how Angela hadn't really shared her writing for like 20 years until she discovered writing on the wall. And this is one powerful, incredible poet and natural poet. And it's only through writing on the wall that she's kind of finding a voice and finding a platform and developing the confidence to really express herself publicly and share her work. And for me, I know I've said this before, Mike, but for me personally, and I'll say this as many times as I'm allowed to get away with it, writing on the wall has had a huge influence on me. And it was when I did the Pulp Idol competition, I think in 2013 or 14, maybe it was. That was where I flew back from Spain to do that competition, flew back from a holiday in Spain to do that competition, and then flew back to Spain after the competition because it was that important to me. And that's where I met where I met Claire, who now runs Liverpool Literary Agency. And neither of us won that competition. We both ended up published in the Pulp Idol collection. But we've been in touch ever since then. And now, all these years later, she has now set up Liverpool's first literary agency, and she is now my agent. And that's the kind of power of things like writing on the wall, not only to give people a platform and the confidence to get their work out there, but to meet other people. That is so important. It's so important for writers and creatives to meet to find the others who can support you on your mission, and to stay in touch with people and develop a network and writing on the wall is really important for that. So thank you. And this experiences like this only take me further. This is new. This has been very new for me. Using prose rather than rap and poetry. Go on.
Let's talk about what effect this residency has had for you. What have you been up to, and was it your expectations? And yeah, I suppose what you're about to say there in terms of maybe what you've learned for yourself would be an interesting aspect, really.
It's been fascinating because I haven't worked in this way before. So I've done lots and lots of, as you know, I'm like a community artist. I've done workshops and I work in prisons and schools and all this community settings for like 20 odd years. But that's always been focused on using rap and freestyle and bits of poetry, really, to get people in the room. I've kind of shied away, really, from using prose in those settings because I find, for one, rap is so loud and, I'm an energetic person. So once I had that format, I feel I can get away with that. I can take that into any room. I can make something up, I can freestyle rap and people will get on board and people will like it and that'll be okay. Then I'll feel okay about myself and then I can take the thing forward, you know what I mean? But prose is more kind of, I didn't know how to approach it. It's more laid back. It's not so in your face. So I didn't know how to make that engaging and interesting and exciting. And also to have the confidence. It's taken a long time to develop the confidence to go, well, I am an author, and it's only been the past year having the book out there and people taking the book seriously that has given me the confidence to go, no, I am an author.
You feel like you can own it now that you've got past any imposter syndrome?
Have I got past imposter syndrome? Are you joking?
Do you feel like you can own that? Because that's a really interesting thing, isn't it? Because moving from one, I mean, now, you've done the rap and all of that, you've done a stage show, and you've now written a novel. That's quite interesting. Lots of people tend to stick to one area. But sometimes I think it's interesting what you say there. You're kind of in a zone which, okay, is challenging, but there's a certain comfort to it. You write a novel, in this case, and then, it's partly about that, owning yourself then as a writer in another sense.
Yeah, it takes so much. It just takes a guts. You just got to do it and get it out there and get the support, as I say, and make sure that you get your stuff proofread and edited and do it all as professionally as possible, and then hope for the best. You don't know how the world is going to take your stuff. People have been very, very, very kind with regards to this book. The interesting thing for me is that I never wanted to be a rapper or a poet or a playwright or anything. I wanted to write books, but it's taken me this long to come all the way back round, full circle. Like I keep saying to people in our one-to-one sessions, if you don't do it now, look at the nodding, how many times have I said this, folks? If you don't do it now, it's going to come back around at some point, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. You're going to come right back to where you started because you cannot escape your internal drive. You cannot escape who you naturally are. So stop running away from it and just get on with it. So yeah, writing a novels was what I always wanted to do. I just got sidetracked by rap and other things. And I still feel like a bit, I feel like less of an imposter. I don't feel like an imposter in terms of writing. I can say I'm a novelist. I've written a novel and people like it and it's doing well. So therefore, okay, I'm happy with that. And I can probably do another one and I can crack on. But I do feel like I still don't feel like I'm going to read the poem in a minute. So I'll just tell everyone now I feel like a right imposter in terms of poetry. I keep telling people to get over it, but it's very easy to preach and quite hard to practice, folks. But what I found is that the best thing we can do is be honest about who we are. I still feel like I'm not a playwright. Other people say, no, you wrote this play. I'm not a playwright. I've just written something for the stage. So I do feel like an imposter in some settings, but that don't matter as long as I'm doing something I'm happy with.
Tell us about the residency. What have you been up to then with the residency?
Well, what have we been up to, folks? Who else wants to tell them what we've been up to? What have we been doing? I'm going to talk to them later. I've talked to you. Okay. Well, what we did was we did it like a journey. So what I did was I used a lot of the models that we teach on our Rise Up course in prisons. And so a lot of that stuff is stuff that teaches you, it's stuff that comes from things like transactional analysis, neuro-linguistic programming, things like that, psychology and psychotherapy. It's ways of understanding what makes you tick. Also, like the science of how the central nervous system works. Now, and what this does is it's really good for anyone to understand what makes you tick. How the thoughts work? What are emotions? How do they link to actions? And how do you take control of your thinking, feeling, and behavior? But this is great stuff to know as a human being. We should all know this stuff. It's quite simple models to learn, but also as a writer. So we've studied things like, there's something called the Nlp Communication Model, for example, that teaches us how everybody filters out reality, because you're taking in so much sensory information, 2.3 million bits of information every second through your senses. So you're filtering most of that out to create what you believe to be your reality. And it's not reality, it's just your version of reality, because you're filtering stuff out based on your beliefs, your values, your experiences. You distort stuff, you delete stuff, you generalize stuff, and you make a map of the world that makes sense to you. And it's different to everybody else's map of the world. Now, understanding stuff like that not only helps you as a person, but as a writer, to understand how everybody builds their own map of the world, and why people are so intransigent, and why people can't be checked, and why it's pointless trying to change people. That's great information to have as a writer. Another model we covered was the drama triangle, which just breaks down how drama situations tend to work out. You have a persecutor, you have a victim, and you have a rescuer. And we all can move around those positions in any given sentence or an argument. We change from persecutor to victim. So it's good to know, to understand that model and how to step away from drama, how to see it for what it is and avoid it. But also to understand how drama actually works in interactions with people helps with your writing. Once I tell people this, the drama triangle, for example, the amount of people in prison that have told me, I can never watch EastEnders again. You just ruined EastEnders for me. I go, well, I hope so, because to be fair, you shouldn't be watching that garbage anyway. But, but do you see that's all that writers are doing? They're creating these scenarios. So there's loads of things like that. Also, the hero's journey we covered, which for those who don't know, this is Joseph Campbell. Do you know about the hero's journey, Mike?
Yeah, well, I've read Bloc, so I've got a bit of an idea.
Yeah, you've read Locks, yeah, so there you go, you got an idea, yeah. But you know, this Joseph Campbell wrote in 1949, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. He was the world's most famous mythologist, and he noticed this plot recurs in mythological and religious stories all over the world, going back thousands of years. And this, for one thing, is fascinating. Why would that be? Why would we be telling the same story all over the world, no matter how far back in time you go? But also, it gives us a tool that we can use for understanding and plotting narrative if we choose to. And we picked apart what Star Wars, Harry Potter, Moana, Wonder, you know, these diverse range of stories, indeed Locks, that all tell the same narrative. They all have the same pattern, the same series of events happens, which is fascinating, but also great to know as a writer, you know.
And do you think that this resonates because, yes, you could argue in many areas of our lives, we're always telling very similar stories, but we always bring something of ourselves to them, and that's what makes them different in that sense.
Which is why it doesn't matter if you're telling the same story. So, as I say, you can fit Wonder. Wonder, about the young boy August who wants to go to school. He's got a bit of a disfigurement. He's not in school. Anyway, it's a great book and a great film, Wonder. But it's just a story about a young boy who starts school in high school. He hasn't been in traditional schooling circumstance. That tells the exact same story as let's go even weirder, Moana. Yeah, or Lord of the Rings. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the story is the same, because nobody looks at it and goes, well, that's just the same old story. What matters is how you tell it. And if you find a way of being honest about your message, about your place in the world or your world view, or what you would like to change about the world or society, then your story will be unique because your experience is unique. It doesn't matter if you're telling it in an age-old format.
So I imagine it's, I mean, that sounds absolutely brilliant. And I imagine that this has sparked either in the sessions or in one-to-one some interesting discussions about people's own work.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah. And, you know, I really hope the knock-on effect will be that it will inspire people's work, but these are all inspired people anyway. These are all brilliant. Honestly, the quality of the writing is so humbling to hear the work that they've been reading out. It's just incredible. So these are already inspired people. You don't need my inspiration to be cracking on, but I hope, you know, maybe some of these ideas will feed into the stuff that, you know, as the writing careers go on. But what I really hope is it inspires them as people, inspires them to get to overcome the structures and strictures and barriers that society and family. This is what the hero's journey is. The hero's journey is overcoming societal structures, strictures, barriers, and really being true to yourself, becoming fully self-actualized so you can live your life to the fullest, get the most out of each situation, and be fully, what we said, remember we said we're fully integrated into society, but also fully independent at the same time. Yeah, to dare to be yourself without marginalizing yourself, because we all, you know, we all live within a society. So I hope people feel empowered a bit more to just get the most out of every situation, even if you feel nervous, even if you feel like an imposter, even if you think your work isn't perfect, to get out there and do it anyway. Now, crack on.
All right, so we ask each of our writers on the block to, at this stage, come up with their own creative response or responses. So I know that you've got something for us as well. Do you want to tell us firstly about how this was inspired by your time during the residency and what it is that you're going to read?
Yeah, well, you know, when I realized that I had to write a creative response, we were already halfway through the sessions, and I kind of just, I don't know, I kind of just thought, within all of this, because we were digging deep, people were revealing a lot of their own hold-ups, as I say, their own feelings of, I wouldn't say, what's the right word? Not inadequacy. Their own
doubts.
Yeah, I suppose doubts and the difficulty of sharing your work with family or sharing personal stuff and all that kind of thing. So I thought, well, I just wanted to start with thinking about what is my biggest setback or doubt. What's the thing that's holding me back at the moment? What could I do with being honest about so that I can move on from? And that was the starting point, really, you know, just this. I haven't really got a title for it, but just this morning I changed the title to Enough with a question mark, just enough, like this feeling of like, am I doing enough? Have I achieved enough? Am I good enough? Yeah. Could I be more? Could I that niggling feeling that's always there in the back of the mind, you know? Should I be better somehow? You know, that self-doubt. You know.
I remember when I was a learning mentor, one of the kind of, whether you call it a theory or whatever, was about the good enough child. Because, you know, I was a learning mentor, and part of the program was also like the gifted and talented, for example, and stuff like that as well, you know. And there was always that thing about, you know, striving constantly, that inner thing and that outer pressure or internalized to be absolutely perfect in everything. And also from the point of view of professionals working in education, you know, trying to turn, you know, every child into, you know, sometimes something that they weren't ready to be at that stage, you know, whatever they achieved in the future. And I really liked it. I thought, you know what, yeah, you know, there's something in that which is, you know, good enough. That doesn't mean to say in any way inadequate. But yeah, you're good enough to be in the room. You're good enough to be there, you know. And what you do at that stage is up to yourself, but you get yourself into a position to be on that stage, if you like, you know.
Absolutely, and we just have to, as I keep saying, we've got to just get over it anyway. It's not as if people always talk about imposter syndrome, like they're the only person that's experienced it. And I keep saying to people, look, everyone in the room is feeling the same way, you know. And we were all brought up in this kind of, there's a system of oppression. I don't mean that in a really negative, dark way. What I mean is, you know, when you've got a system, a hierarchical system, hierarchies involve oppression of some kind. That's just the fact, you know. And part of that way, part of that keeping people kind of under control has been historically to make people feel like less worthy in a way. And I think some of the belief systems and that kind of thing, and some of the stories we've been told growing up make us feel like we'll never be good enough, you know. We were born a bit wrong, and we'll strive to be okay, and things might be okay at some point in the afterlife or something, you know. And we have to learn to just accept ourselves as we are now, and enjoy what's going on right now, you know, and strive, attachment and non-attachment, strive to be better, strive to keep moving on, but at the same time accept that you're good enough right now.
Absolutely.
At the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we hear it?
Enough. Would he think this edifice I've built is big enough? Or did he expect more from me? Is there more to come? As I was conceived, he integrated all the energies, the genes and histories that would create who I was meant to be. With heritage as warp and weft, the tapestry he wove was rough. But would he think this edifice I've built is big enough? Born to portray feeling and disseminate the word, to share the fearful strivings and inspire those left unheard. I grew through undue hatred to create a life of love. But did he expect more from me? And is there more to come? The heavy load of never knowing, making choices that will haunt you, making waves but swimming nowhere, riptides pulling, lightning stalks you. So-called allies only taught you to grow without rain and sun. But would he think this edifice I've built is big enough? If his eyes perceive my vision, his breath dances on my tongue. If he centers in my core and always treads the ways I walk, why do I worry if this edifice I've built is big enough? We want and need no more, and there is always more to come.
Wow. What a fantastic piece, Ash. That is powerful. I have a question for you. There's a beautiful line in there. I think it was something to do with built, something I can't quite catch it, built through undue hatred.
I grew through undue hatred to create a life of love.
That's a beautiful line.
Oh, thank you.
And my question is, who is the he?
Yeah, good question. I was hoping someone would ask that. Who is the he? Who do you think the he is?
Well, I suppose you know your natural thing will be to default to the father figure, you know, in that sense, because you know that is something that you know is true, and also is something so much in memoir and fiction and things like that. So I'd take a wild stab at that, but I wouldn't want to presume that it is.
Yeah, no. Also, in the hero's journey, part of the hero's journey that we didn't cover in our version is the atonement with the father. So after having died and been reborn and seized the power and all that stuff, the hero has to take the road back home. And part of that is atonement with the father figure. Yeah, you know, Darth and Luke, you know, overcoming that separation of the father, becoming one with the father again. So I was aware that was kind of part of how it would be kind of read. Do you know what I mean? That it'd be read as the father figure. But to me, actually, the he is my own soul. It's that part of me that was here before this Ash version of me, and you know, will be here after the Ash version of me. The part of me that decided, oh, we'll do that, we'll have that Jamaican guy and that Scottish woman, and we'll stick it in like in Yorkshire, but move him off to Liverpool, and we'll see if that helps him to do the stuff he's supposed to be doing.
It's also, I suppose, that kind of the omnipotent voice, if you like. There's something somewhere else that we are trying to live up to something, some perception of what we should be. Yeah,
and is it the father figure? Is it society? Is it the teacher? Is it God? Is it, you know what I mean? Is it whatever? Is it some religious kind of icon? Or it's one of them, isn't it?
Is there an answer to that question? Is there, can that be resolved, do you think, or is that just something that kind of hangs there as a constant, maybe?
An answer to what question?
Is it, is this what I've built? Is this good enough? Will this ever be enough?
I think the answer is stop worrying about it and crack on. So that's why I try to take it full circle by the end. Why do I worry? If this edifice I've built is big enough, we want and need no more, and there is always more to come. So it's kind of like the voice of this. It's meant to be like the voice of the he, that other, that better self, that higher self, that whatever spirit, soul, whatever, is saying, shut up. What are we on about? Crack on.
Do you think that there's potentially something positive in that, in the sense that I know that you talked earlier in the residency about how to get the most out of yourself in that sense, and in a way, it's like a voice in a vacuum it doesn't get heard. To be in dialogue with something or somebody can be a very positive thing. Can that kind of, wherever that pressure comes from, whether you feel it's an external or an internal voice, can that be a positive that people can utilize?
That's a really good question. I believe so, yeah, and I think that's why we tend to naturally do it. But I think I think sometimes, maybe for me, it feels that sometimes we get stuck on whether that is an external or an internal thing. And one of the things I've been stressing all the way through the residency is that we don't have to see things in dualistic terms. It doesn't have to be external or internal. It can be both. Indeed, it has to be both. It is both, because that is the nature of your being. You are the universe, and that sounds mystical, but that's scientific. That's a fact.
Sure.
You're made of the stuff that came, the atoms that were made in the stars, the elements that were made in the stars and fell to earth, and made you and made everything, and everything is connected, and there's no disconnection, and there's no time differentiation between the different bits. That when they communicate with each other, that's all science, that's quantum physics stuff, you know what I'm saying? You are, that is you, that whatever you relate to in the outside world, it is you. But also it's internal as well, and whatever you're most comfortable with, if you're most comfortable putting that onto some religious icon or some mentor or calling it something like soul or spirit or whatever, then cool for you, if that's what works for you.
Okay. Did you have anything else that you're reading?
No.
I wasn't sure. I just wanted to ask, just to double check, because I'm kind of thinking, should we kind of go over to some of the people you've worked with in the residency?
100%.
Yeah, from them.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to introduce them. Am I right? And I think first up we've got Arthur Bowling.
Arthur has been an absolute joy to work with. He is a prolific writer and a man of endless energy and inspiration. He's a man after my own heart, as in he's just a cheeky rebel, a cheeky Scouse rebel who just boundless energy. So it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to work with Arthur again, because we first worked together about a year or so ago. So I know that this is going to be a beautiful piece. It's going to be deep and interesting and downright Scouse, isn't it, Arthur?
Yeah, I'm going to blow you away. Thanks for that intro. That was really succinct. And the main concern about this was it was a lost opportunity. And when you actually sort of fell by the wayside, I thought, oh my goodness, it's gone, the chance is gone, but the light's been switched back on, you're here, and you're just as succinct as usual, and thanks for that big up. For anyone who doesn't really know, just quickly going into this, I've had over 5 months in hospital, so I've fought COVID off twice, so I really feel I'm a bit of a sort of a superhero myself. And I want to just describe something that happened last weekend. I got an email saying the Iron Men were meeting, and I thought, Iron Men? I'm not an Iron Man, what can I do? And they said, oh, please come down to an Iron Man briefing. It's the Liverpool Rock and Roll Marathon, and we want you to come down. She helped us in the past. So I thought, no. But then I thought, well, I'll just go down. And even if I go to the briefing, get down to the briefing in the ACC, I can hold my head up and say, yeah, I helped with the marathon. I went to the briefing. But when I got there, they were so positive. Rosie was so kind, the coordinator, the manager. She said, what I want you to do is to get loads and loads of thanks. And every time someone says thank you to you, it'll make you feel better. I said, how am I going to get loads and loads of thanks? She said, I'm going to stand you on the finish line. And when the kids come through from doing the half marathon or the 5K, you can put a medal around the children's necks and they're going to say thank you and try and give you a hug, and it'll be great. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, I'll go along that road. But then she introduced me to what were called the real Iron Men. These were the SAS, the Marines and everything else. They came all the way up from Hereford. They actually climbed Snowdon twice on the way up. They ran the Liverpool Rock and Roll Marathon backwards. When they came to me, they wanted to swim in the Mersey over to New Brighton, and I had to try and stop them. But they spoke to me and they said, you are more of an Iron Man than we're Iron Men. They really bigged me up. So this poem I've got here is about, as you were just saying, it's man versus Superman, hero versus superhero, Iron Man versus COVID man. So I'll just do it quickly. It says, rock and roll COVID marathon man. Here they come, the Iron Men. No, not Gormley statues in Waterloo, but the real SAS, the Marines. A marathon before breakfast. I'm feeling blue. Running backwards, not even a sweat. They want to swim to New Brighton being tough. It's just over the way. Let's cool off. It's dangerous, someone shouts. It's very rough. The Iron Men, the real Iron Men, listen to my survivor's tale once again and vote me in as the hero's hero for my volunteer's role as survivor overcoming pain. It's our job, they shout, our vital role, but we are paid to protect. But you're suffering, your long COVID, you're breathless, unbalanced, mega shouts of respect. I put their medals around their necks, telling them, well done, lads, well done, the final hill. They smile, big themselves up, and I admit I've been through the COVID mill, surviving, helping, supporting, stepping up. Guess what? I am no longer ill. And at the end, it's got a little thing that says, was this a dream or escapism? No, it's reality. And you can accept it being reality because she actually sent me the letter saying I was the Iron Man's hero. So I am the hero myself. And this has all come from what Ashleigh's taught me. And I've bit the proverbial bullet and I've gone for it. And the Iron Men have bigged me up. And I am the Iron Men's Iron Man. Thank you very much. So I'll read the letter just quickly. It just says, a massive thank you for volunteering to our final ever Rock and Roll Liverpool event. This week was fantastic and memorable. You're an amazing volunteer at Rock and Roll Liverpool. The event wouldn't have been possible without your support and enthusiasm. You are truly an Iron Man. Well done, Arthur. Hope to meet you next year.
Fantastic.
And that was inspired from Ashleigh. And I wouldn't have gone and I wouldn't have done it, but Ashleigh's words were in my head. They were the catalyst and he pushed me to go and do it. So I've done my first 4-hour outdoor shift. And yes, it nearly killed me and I couldn't get home. I had to sit on a bench for nearly an hour to get my energy back. But Ashleigh's words drove me on. And I hope you can use that, mate, in your education for the prison and stuff and say, I know a man who's totally battered and he's been down to the SAS and they think he's better than them. So there we are. There we are. Superhero.
That's what it's all about, Arthur. Be the hero of your own story.
Thank you, thank you. Well done, mate. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. You are my mentor in life.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, Arthur. That was a brilliant piece of poetry as well.
And here's my lovely top. This is my lovely top from the marathon.
Oh, amazing.
I was the race crew.
Is right. That is absolutely astonishing.
So I'm not being fake. I've got me top and I've got me letter. It's not lies. They're not making this up. I am a real hero.
You really are, mate. You really are. That is absolutely incredible. And yeah, you know, it's just a great bit of poetry as well. And I love the way there's always a bit of a story that goes with your things as well, you know, which is just beautiful to hear. But thank you so much. It's been such a joy working with you, Arthur. I'm
a bit emotional now, but thanks anyway. So it's very cathartic to come on and contribute. Sorry.
Oh, no. Express yourself. That's what artists do, man. That's what artists do.
Well done, Arthur. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. All right, Ash, do you want to move on? And let's thank you very, very much, Arthur. It's brilliant to hear and lovely to hear the impact that Ash has had. Okay. Next up, I think am I right in saying it's Pippa Slattery? And do you want to introduce Pippa, please, Ash?
Absolutely. Pippa is a really experienced and she's an incredibly intelligent and yeah, she thought it was an insult when I called her highbrow recently. But it wasn't. I like literary fiction too. I like highbrow. But she really is. This is a real writer's writer. She really knows what she's doing. I gather whatever it is she's going to do now is going to be real impressive and powerful. Pippa, don't pull that face. You know what you're doing. You just finished the MA. So go on. I'll hand over to you, Pippa.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ash. I've gained so much, so I was saying earlier, from Ash, but the thing I really worked on was voice and being truthful. And I'm in the middle of writing a novel, and I was finding it's a novel about 3 women, but one of the women's voices is my own. And I was finding it really hard to find my voice. It was very easy to find my mother's and my grandmother's. And all 3 of them are protagonists. And just being brave with Ash and being truthful. I'm also no poet. All my work, I'm a prose writer. I write short stories, flash fiction. I'm writing my first novel, but I have no experience of poetry. So Ash told me to be brave. And I'm finding I'm wanting to bring poetry more into my work. I find that in my short stories, there are little bits of poetry, but I've never had any education in poetry. We didn't touch it really at college. So yeah, I just decided to really give myself a challenge and turn my experience of finding my voice with Ash in a poem rather than my normal prose. So here we go. It's called Shadow Child. You always watch the swallows leave, the taste of her still bittersweet. In final witness to their giddy dance, no more than a murmur on rain-swollen skies, wondering if she will ever be as free. You stand transfixed, allowing sand to seep through time, memories bleeding from your bones, falling like sharded glass into the shadows of your mind. You see her there, standing atop the stairs, little suitcase in pudgy hand, bare, her only company, listening to the gallytrots and the lubberkins crawling behind the walls. Her voice stolen when she was no more than a child. Hidden, folded in, fear in the very softness of her skin, the dark tangled in her throat, as fragile as the burnt dawn sky, too scared to leave. You let her in, while the earth tosses her changing hues, tumbling here and there, an iridescent sheen of charred golds, browns, wood ash green, all falling willingly, as if time itself unbinds you both, allowing the breath back in. This year, when the swallows leave and the silence holds you still, will you hold her in the shadow cast by the day-blind moon? In this, the autumn of your years, and with a mother's love, look and see how fiercely beautiful you have come to be.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Thanks, Ash.
I think everything you do, Pippa, is like, feels like somewhere between poetry and prose anyway, doesn't it? Does to me, you know what I mean? The story is always there, and the poetry is always there in the narrative, or at least what you've shared with me. You know, there's always that sense of the suggestive and the metaphor and what lies beneath, you know, running through when it's prose, and that sense of narrative when it's poetry, you know.
Yeah.
I think some people, whether you call yourself a poet or not, just have a kind of a natural sense for the poetic. Do you know what I mean? I like you, Pippa, do not call myself a poet, you know what I mean? But
No.
But there's something poetic about the way you write anyway, you know. And that.
Thank you.
And your stuff is just always incredible. Fear in the softness of a skin. It's just, you know what I mean? It just says, every line says so much. You could pick apart every line and analyze it, you know. It's just gorgeous. And you even got some kind of beeping thing there to manage to like switch something off and carry on going. Like
I know, somebody tried to ring me. I'm sorry about that.
Like a consummate professional. You see, that's what a professional does, that, you know what I mean? You don't stop it, oh, sorry, you know, you just go, well, gone, back on. Brilliant, Pippa. Thank you.
Well done, Pippa. Beautiful.
Thank
Thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
I'd echo everything that Ash said as well. Okay, Ash, next up, our final reader for tonight, I think, is Hannah Aon.
Yeah. Again, another brilliant writer. And it's just some of the work you've shared during the sessions has been so real and heartfelt, hasn't it? It's been an emotive, very, very emotive, very real, very honest, and incredibly powerful. And we've had a really good conversation today, haven't we, Hannah, about how we need to dare to share. It's important, because that's what we do. So yeah, again, whatever this is going to be beautiful. So
thank you very much. One thing I've really gained from taking part with you, Ash, is just being able to get real with myself. You know, oh, I've been holding myself back, and when I had shared part of myself, how that then was shared amongst the group, in the open mic, that really it shifted things. It changed things, and it's almost like it just took one wee tap of a hammer and, you know, it's been powerful. So thank you. And I'm going to share what I had shared at the open mic. It's called Spirit. And during lockdown, I started taking mediumship classes. So this is what I've tried to capture, that feeling, and it sort of initially had stemmed from a really moving practice I'd had with a woman in San Diego who'd been adopted, and this was her birth mother. So it moved me. So this is what I'll read it now. So it's called Spirit. It happens sometimes. The body can't cope. All that love flooding in, tears pop out. Spirit. I am crying with the message I'm delivering, mother and child, knowing I'm needing to work on this. Spirit. Ask them to ease it off. I'm asking to keep it close enough still. Spirit. Glazing, grazing the backs of my eyes. Lids, I do not keep a lid on this. Spirit. Limitless intelligence, essence. Close enough to touch, to kiss, to feel. Remember? Do you remember the love? Spirit. Their loved ones, our loved ones, our loved ones, the ones we loved once, all right here, right now, the oneness. Spirit. I am hearing with every part of my being, receiving. Spirit. The subtlety speaking. I am speaking as if I'm the last person on this planet. The world burning, burning the world of hurt away. I am speaking as if the whole world is listening. 8 billion hearts and minds touching. Spirit. I am touching spirit, touching you, touching truth. The voice for spirit is all I am.
Wow.
Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Lovely to hear it again as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was trying to get at earlier, isn't it? That limitless intelligence, essence. Remember, that feeling. You see, it's hearing. But that's for me, it's feeling. Like maybe you're a hearing person, I'm a feeling person. With every part of yourself, you know. And like I said, it's that honesty as well. You know, this is that's who you are as a person and the journey that you're on. And we have to, like, I don't know what. I feel sometimes people expect you in this society to kind of to hold back on your spirituality. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, wishy-washy, airy-filled, all this kind of stuff. Like, you know what? If that's who you are and that's what you believe and that's what you're doing with your life, and I say crack on and be honest about it and share it for those who haven't dared to share it, so that they can go, oh, that nice one. You know what I mean? It's not just me. You know what I mean? Because so many people, like I said to you before, Hannah, so many people I've worked with over the years who are struggling, people I've worked with in prisons and mental health units and that kind of stuff, are just people who have that insight, but don't know other people who do. And they've come to think they're weird because they have no family or friends or support network of people who get them. Yeah. You know, and that's real problematic. So, you know, that's something we can offer. If that's something that we can offer as creative types, you know, as artists or writers, then that's powerful and we should do it. It's beautiful. Thank you, Hannah.
Fabulous, Hannah. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you.
Ash, it's obviously at the end of the day, you know, the success and the work that people have done is down to themselves, and doing what you've said is to try and unlock themselves. And you know, we can see that from everyone who's shared today. But you must feel very proud, because I think you played a really, I mean, I was talking to people beforehand, and I was chatting, you know, earlier today, some of our staff, about the feedback from your residency. And you've really kind of unlocked some stuff here. You've played an incredible role, it seems, in terms of working with people. So, you know, congratulations to you. I think it's a real credit to you, the work that's come out there as well. Oh,
bless you all. Bless you all. I'm not just saying these things really are always a group effort. We start on this journey, and it's like I tend to think, you know, it's like we become like one mind, like one brain, like we're all neurons in a brain connecting. Do you know what I mean? And unless everyone jumps in and connects up, then it don't work. So it really has, but because everyone's, you know, stayed with us for the journey and really engaged, it's yeah, it's been a beautiful experience. What can I say, folks? Thank you to all of you. I can't thank you enough. You've been absolutely incredible and so open and honest, and that's what makes it work. Like, you know, so I hope, you know, I hope people all gain something from it. And
I think it's clear they have, Ash. What's up next for you, Ash?
What's up next for me? Well, I've got to get back into the prisons for one thing. That's starting to come back online again. We'll be back delivering again, and get this. You know what? I'll have some news very shortly regarding locks. So,
is it Hollywood?
Hey,
is it Hollywood?
that as well. Soon enough. So it's one, we're developing things, but it's like we're having conversations and nothing. So I can't really just say much of it. But yeah, keep in contact with us, folks, and keep an eye out for us. And I'm sure there'll be news soon enough.
Well, anything you get, Ash, you thoroughly deserve any success, mate. You really put the time in, you put the effort in, you've done amazing work, you say, with Rise Up CIC. You've begun to kind of realise, your own practice, obviously, through that and into the novel, the stage play, and whatever your top secret news is at the moment. We're all looking forward to hear that. It's been amazing. We're so proud, Ash, to add you to our roster of people who are the writers on the block, but we know you won't be a stranger. We're always in touch. And, the work you've done with us outside of the writer's block as well has just been brilliant. So thank you a million times again. Thank you to everyone who has taken part throughout Ash's residency, particular thanks tonight, obviously, to Arthur, to Pippa, and to Hannah. Incredibly powerful work. We're really, really proud that you choose Writing on the Wall to share that work with us. And we look forward to seeing how you all develop as well. No pressure, but whatever you do with that, make sure you keep in touch with us as well. So thank you, Ash. Let's have a big virtual round. Go on, Ash.
Oh, thank you.
Let's have a big virtual round of applause for Ash for that residency, which was massive.
Can I say one thing, actually, Mike, that I should have mentioned? I don't know if people know that Prescott, not far from Liverpool, is getting a Shakespeare theatre. Do you not know that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is really exciting stuff, folks. So, there's a historical reason as well. I won't go into it now. Look it up. But there is a good reason. Shakespeare was friends with Lord Derby, whose estate is in Prescott. Anyway, it's being built at the moment, and it's going to be opening next summer. The Shakespeare North Playhouse, a Shakespeare theatre in Prescott. And everyone should get involved if they can. I'm getting quite closely involved with some of the opening ceremony and curating some of the stuff and all that kind of thing. So I should have mentioned that when I said what's on there, because that's a big thing, and writers should be involved. It's going to be great for this area. It's going to bring a lot of tourism.
Oh, well, it's interesting you say that. We've got some very exciting news that I can't quite tell you about at the moment in relation to that.
I know you've been talking to them, because he told me.
I've just been reading this, which I'm about 2/3 of the way through. Fantastic biography of the writer and artist Edward Lear, which has quite a lot of relation to that as well. But I've seen some of the footage of the inside of the of what's going to be inside there, and the theatre looks absolutely stunning. So there's going to be a really exciting programme there. So we will be talking to a lot of people about that. Oh, you're getting video bombed, Ash, right behind you there.
Hello. It's okay, come on. The phone here. There you go.
Mike, can I ask a question? Guys?
Of course you can, yeah.
We've all formed quite a sort of close-knit group, and is there any way that we can all sort of keep in touch as this group, or how do we do that? Because we just know on each other's names, but is there a sort of Facebook group or?
What I'd say is, if you're happy for us to share each other's emails with each other, we'll do that, and you can take it from there. Is probably the easiest thing to do. So if you would email us in and say, yes, I'm happy to share, just so that's okay, and then we'll slot them round to each other if that's okay. Yeah?
Perfect. Yeah,
I'm happy to share whatever, and if you want to set something up, Pippa, I'm rubbish at setting these kind of things up, and I'm just.
It's just been nice to sort of keep in touch and see how everyone's doing.
All right.
Absolutely, okay. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be lovely to. Anyone, feel free to contact me at any time, and keep us up to date.
Watch what you wish for, Ash.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to say my final thank you and goodbye to Ash for this residency. Thank you again to everybody who is here and has shared, who's taken part in all the workshops, and with the support that you give to Writing on the Wall. It's hugely, hugely appreciated. And I'm now going to just, and I want to say a particular thanks to our staff who have been working tonight, which is Jenny and Fartoon. for their support as well. We have an absolutely brilliant team of people who make all of this online work and also our live work look so easy. They're so proficient and enthusiastic and you know, bright as a button, a lot of them with it as well. So thank you to them. Okay, we now start. Our next residency is coming up, and it begins on Monday, and it begins at 10 o'clock. And we're really excited to welcome the award-winning writer Luke Barnes to the Writers' Block as our next writer on the block. Writing for both screen and stage, Luke has found significant success in his work, winning the Scotsman Emerging Talent Awards and being the runner-up in an Off West End Awards for Most Promising Playwright and the Off West End Best New Play Award for his poignant piece Bottleneck. Luke's theatre credits include Freedom Project with Leeds Playhouse, the Jumper Factory with the Young Vic Theatre, the Sad Club with the National Theatre, and All We Ever Wanted Was Everything, Bush Theatre stroke Payne's Plough Roundabout. We can't wait to see what fascinating discussions and insights and experiences he brings to the Writer's Block as our next writer on the block. It's incredible to have another hugely gifted and talented writer joining us. We try to mix it up a little bit in terms of the various forms, genres, and experiences of our writers so that people can get a really rounded out you know, kind of experience if you want to join them, or alternatively some specialized experience as well if they are, you know, working in the field that the writer on the block is. So Luke Barnes starts on Monday at 10 o'clock with our writing prompt right here, right now. And then we'll be doing his first kind of in conversation with introductions at 6 o'clock on Monday as well. So that's something to really, really look forward to as the writer's block rolls on. And, you know, it's I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a really good experience for everybody. So all it leaves me to say is thanks once again. Well done to everybody. Blown away by the work as ever. Thank you to Ash, particularly for the residency. And all keep on writing, obviously. Have a great weekend. See you all later.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. I'm off to start Friday evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you. I don't know how to turn off the live stream. Do we just leave? See you, Mike.